Hey everybody, Major Dream Williams here. Welcome to Major AI. You know what? I normally have, anyhow, like I said, just get started and get better as we go, right, folks? So, yeah, welcome to Major AI Mindset. This is a school for people like us, like a little bit more unorthodox, know a little bit more than the above average person in the tech space and entrepreneurship and you know how to make money and how to create value. Making money, that, yes, everybody wants to make money. Granted, we do. We all do, okay? However, this is all about value and positioning. Something way different than what many of the other people are teaching. And I hope most of them start to flow down this road rather than flooding the market with AI automation agencies and stuff just for the sake of having an AI automation agency and being a first mover. Yet you haven't necessarily been through anything to know what you're building for, right? That's what we find a lot with entrepreneurs is that we build without knowing what we're building for. Now, why am I here? Who am I? What is all of this about? Well, look, I have, give or take, 25 years, almost 30 years of entrepreneurship and business. Maybe more than that if I count the 80s. Anyhow, but did a lot of things, got a lot of things under my belt, and did it all for the love of knowledge, mostly. If I did it for money, I'd have way more liquid money now. But did it for knowledge, did it for positioning. It really felt like I did all of that to position myself for now. The age of the generalist, the idea guy, the best first third, you know, or in some cases the best quarter. And the technology has come along. In November 2022, I'm sitting in, what was that, 22 or 23? 22. I'm sitting in Houston trying to figure out a couple of stuff. I'm learning funnels and how to funnel people in, build community, get sales, do marketing and stuff, and such. So I was really headstrong in that, and then boom, GPT-3 comes out, and I'm like, whoa. And I'm stumbling along through it, figuring out some things, and then you kind of realize, because part of me is old school too, so I'll see some technology and be like, I still want to do things my old way type of stuff. Listen, I'm 50, all right? But the thing is, you want to do like your old stuff and do things your old way. And it's like, hold on. I don't need to do all of this. Okay, when I was launching NFT projects all over the friggin' place, I did it with no less than 13 people. All of that cost. Not all the projects went well. A lot of them did, not all did. But that's a lot of people. And you have to figure out to trust all of them. I'm from New York. I'm Jamaican. I'm from New York. I'm from the Bronx. I don't trust no. This is why I have this school. So I can start helping people build the right mindset. That way we could engage. Listen, if you can get through 5 weeks or the 13-week course, I like to do everything in 90 days. Reminds me of the time when I was a personal trainer. and not even a personal trainer. I don't even like saying that. When I was a results coach, because that's what I got. 90 days in, out, you got the body that you wanted. And if you didn't, you got damn close. So this is how I want to do this. You know, I want to bring in, I guess we use the phrase cohort now, you know, every 5 weeks, start kind of a new one, and be able to plug you into a, you know, a flow for extra mentorship. You know, look, guys, I'm going to tell y'all this. We're going to go through everything. But there's definitely going to be people that I partner with because I come from the Web3 world, decentralized world, but I have access to some fun stuff like, you know, Stanford classes and like good things. But and remember, it's not always going to be about, hey, oh, here's the answer. Oh, this is how you do it. Because I don't know all the answers and how to do it. This is why I work with experts and professionals that are really good at what they do. Like excellent. And my friends and the resources that we have and that I have, I'll bring them all in so that you can get the benefit of this. Because at the end of the day, we're talking about a world that you grew up in, that is built off of, I'm not even going to go down that road, but it's built off of many varying mindsets and thoughts and laws and ordinances and so forth. All of this stuff was just built up. Nothing was pruned, nothing was parsed, nothing was tossed. Now you got Elon coming in trying to get that engineer mind and get that efficiency going. But when people realize that everything that they do is based off of keeping the money game going. Because when you hear things like USAID trying to get stopped and everybody up in arms, I'm like, look, what is USAID? What is everybody doing? Everybody could take care of themselves. We just need to get out of everybody's way. But there's so many bleeding hearts that have jobs with these people. If they get axed, they're out of a job, everybody's upset. But yet they weren't doing anything. I'm not saying that they weren't doing anything, but they weren't effective. Look, it's going to be tough. Elon said it a long time ago. This is going to be really tough. If y'all want to see what it's like, you have to understand how this has been artificially. You've all heard it. You've heard this time and time again. The economy is in shambles. It's propped up on a friggin' duct tape and a friggin' string. That's all that's getting pushed out there. Don't invest in anything that doesn't make anything. All of that stuff is going down. And those people who had those jobs, they're going to be replaced. Different type of banking is coming out there. So no matter what, like the banks are going to try to do anything to hold on to the money. Like there's been gold and silver being brought back over to the States because all of these banks know that the game that they've been playing, the shell game, is now coming to an end because we have a thing called blockchain. And we have a thing called transparency. Because when you're supposed to be a big bank, you're supposed to have assets on the books, you are also taking public money, there's certain ways that you're supposed to act. There's a lot of companies out there that have taken public money, but haven't really made anything. They're just playing this shell game. I'm just waiting until the music stops for them. But that has nothing to do with us. Because what we got going on here is building to future-proof. That's why I love all of this, because that game, and the thing is, they're not going to try to just allow it to just stop. Most people are going to say they are in Bitcoin and only have a little bit in Bitcoin. And they're not traders, they're not shit coiners. Look, I'm not a shit coiner. I'm not a trader. I'm a hodler. I'm a Bitcoin maxi. And I believe in other utility coins, but I'm a big fan of tokenizing assets, tokenizing real world assets and getting liquidity out of really valuable stockpiles of minerals and and commodities and art, especially valuables. I'm all about that. So that's where I focus. But why? But that is what's going on in the background, because those things are whale driven, meaning that you close one or two or maybe three big deals a year. Doing that, somebody comes up to you with a $60 million art collection who wants everything tokenized and protected because they were fearful about what happened in LA, right? So, I step up and we do these things. We have beautiful platform that operates outside of the U.S. jurisdiction and allows for people to save taxes and tons of safety. They have 1,000 years of stability. So, so these are things that I do on the other end. So pardon me that I haven't been as energetic as I should have been. But we're here. And as long as we get this consistency going, I'm sure this is going to build up, because I know there's cats out there talking and building, and I love everything that these guys are talking about. I know some really smart guys. YouTube is teaching a lot of things. A lot of people in our community is teaching things. We have courses, but I'm someone that is here to be more of an interactive person, so that we can build this community together, so we can feel that we're in, because I'm not a genius at this. I build cool things, but I'm not a genius at this. So there's going to be things that I'm going to want to build, and I'm going to be like, all right, let's go. Take you through tutorial, and then I'll be like, look, it's fucked. I'm going to go through it 4, 5, 6 times. I'm going to ask my AIs to chime in and help, and hopefully I can fix the bugs as it goes. If not, guess what? We take a breath. We figure, is there anything else that we can do in our business? Or is there anything else that we can fix? Because, sometimes it's frustrating to just watch somebody just try to fix stuff. But I feel that's probably going to be a little bit of what I'm going to do here. But let's get started. So, all right, this is what I got going on here. So let's get this started. So, all right, now work with me, folks. All right. So, where's my face? I don't even know my face is at. Hold up, folks. All right, we're going to go through this as a test run, folks. All right, because I'm going to do this again, definitely, but let's do a test. So, Major AI Mindset. This is my school, and this is why we call it MAIM, M-A-I-M. So, yeah, that's going to mess up. It's like a tongue twister, right? But we are going to be talking about planning and goal setting. so that we can build a strong foundation for our course's success. Now, it says course, but think of course like just business, because it all starts off from that seed, that nugget. Whether they're coming in to purchase something from you, you're educating them about something, to sell them on something, to give them what they need, or so with this, just look at this as what it could evolve into. Most of the biggest businesses that started off as just a simple course. Okay, what are we going to cover? Ideation. What is ideation? Well, ideation is a little bit more than just brainstorming, but what ideation is where you sit down, you do some deep research, you break down whatever topic that you're into subcategories, and then other subcategories, and then kind of iterate on all of these type of ideas, because you know what it is. Just the first thing that you think of isn't always the best. Sometimes you need to bounce it off people, because those are the things that you maybe have forgotten about. Now, market research, that's where you get to become a spy. That's where you become really nosy, asking questions, looking at the people, figuring out who's buying what, checking out their pockets, being a pocket watcher, snooping around, checking the gossip rags, seeing what the market is all about, checking what are people's problems. That's really the biggest issue. It's like going to go check Tina and finding out that her man did her wrong. And you're like, damn, she's in need of a new man. Simple, right? And then that's when you slide in. But that's for a whole nother topic. Let's keep it moving. Structure outline. Now, this taps back into a little bit of ideation, but these are the points that you want to have in tow, so that way you can structure your point of this conversation. Sort of like how this conversation is going here. Like, I use these bullet points, and then it allows me to kind of freestyle a little bit, because my knowledge isn't necessarily book knowledge. My knowledge is having done this. So I'm anecdotal, I'm metaphorical, all of that fun stuff. But it'll all be following up with all of these that are written down. You have worksheets. Anyhow, we'll get to that. So structure your outline. What does your whole, like I'm writing a book. So I don't write all the chapters. I write, what are the titles of the chapters? What are the chapters going to be about? Who's the protagonist in the chapters? Who's the antagonist in the chapters? What's the issue? That type of stuff. Where is the crescendo of the story? Where is the lowest part? All of this is about structure. That way, you're not lost out there. Trust me on this. I've lived life without structure for a long time. It's got me into a lot of great places, but definitely on this, but I'm just happy I'm here right now. Let's keep it going. Feedback loop. All right. How many of y'all got yes men or yes women around? If you don't, that is a good thing. But feedback loop is normally what you hear from the people that you're around. Like if you grew up in the hood and you realize and you see that all men cheat on their women or all women are gold diggers. Well, guess what? This is your feedback loop. Whether it's positive or negative, it's up to you on how you play it. But ultimately, this is what you're getting back. It's like that energy. When people walk around and just say vibes, like I feel that vibe, I feel that feedback. That reverberation off of those, speakers that hit you back. But when it comes to market research, structured outline, feedback loop, when you're tapping back into the market, like creating quizzes, creating these type of engagements, so you can hear what people are saying, because a lot of times you being in your own head is not good enough, no matter how smart you think you are. Tools and resources set up. So we'll learn what tools we'll learn for all of this. ChatGPT, make sure that's your best friend right now. Now, we'll get to the places and points where we can use others. And look, if you're using Sonnet 3.7, then, I ain't mad at you either. Because that's that's one of the models that I really got close to knowing. Claude. But ChatGPT is our baby. That's what I've been using the longest, so it kind of has me tied in. Obviously, I'm using other models locally. I have my own model. We're training. I have a bunch of things going on the back end, but right now we are talking to beginners. All right. I'm the big homie. I'm here to lead you through. So we have tools. So Trello, Notion, ChatGPT, Stable Diffusion, my mind slips me, Perplexity, all of these fun things. We're gonna show how all of these things are used. I'm gonna show you other type of tools, as we go along over these weeks. And yeah, you're gonna find out what you like. Listen, how school started isn't how school is going to continue. Okay? This is not about some rigid plan that you have to do, unless this is what you want to do. But what I'm here is to give you confidence. And there's nothing like confidence. Confidence does not come from praise. Confidence comes from triumph. Confidence comes from adversity and getting through. Confidence comes from, hold on. Confidence doesn't come from praise. It comes from capabilities. And this isn't about giving you praise. This is about giving you confidence in your capabilities of navigating through this world. Okay? Warning. This is the most important video of the entire course. Watch the entire video. Don't skip. Don't fast forward. Pro tip. Watch it at 2x speed. Even better. Definitely watch this at 2x speed, because I could ramble. That's why I'm like, yo, how did I not shoot this video already? Because I talk all the friggin' time. Anyhow, ideation. Like I said. Okay, cool. We're going to get at that. So, unlock creative thinking. So what this here is really just an overview of what this course is going to cover. That's why I'm being so kind of free-flowing with it. Because eventually, and at the end of the day, we're going to get into something more structured. And I know why. Because I do it with my AI, right? So if I just follow the AI, it gives me structure. I just spent most of the time getting it to know me. So it generate profitable ideas. You know how many times, look, people come up with ideas all the friggin' time. And how many of them don't work, right? All right. Validate concepts before investing time and money. Enough said. That said right when it's at. Oh God. Okay, guys. I'm not here to, again, I am not your guru. I am not your savior. But I know a couple of ways to kind of turn. I know what corners to turn on and what corners to not. But Validating concepts before investing time and money. This is what I suffered from most of my life because I just felt I knew what people wanted, or I knew, or this idea made sense, or this idea worked. And all the money that I made, I end up, betting on myself, but not betting on myself in the right way. And losing time and money. In the meantime, I was just on a call today with my partner, and we were talking to these developers, and we were just talking about how much money we wasted in trying to do business on the continent in Africa, and trying to tokenize gold, and I was just like, wow, and how much money we wasted in India trying to do so. So we have burnt fingers, stubbed toes, taken arrows for quite a few of you guys out there who are hearing my voice right now. And it's not about you're welcome or I need thanks. That ain't the issue. This is what happens when you step out early. But with that, it just makes sense to just give back game. You know? So you want to validate your points, your concepts, before you really start investing big money. That's why this type of world we live in right now, using these tools, can allow you to validate concepts way easier, faster, so many different iterations and ways. And strengthens your new unique position. So you come in here telling me about your idea because you're from Jackson, Mississippi. I can come and tell you, oh, they did that already over in Denmark. Oh, yeah, yeah. And you're like, wait, what? I thought I was an original. No, nothing's new under the sun, folks. Nothing's new under the sun. Everything's been there before, but you can put your own little stank on it. But with ideation, it strengthens your unique position. You tell me one thing about you, I'm like, nah, that's not as unique as you think. That's done all the time. And, I don't like throwing cold water on everybody, but sometimes when you heat up, you need to, get those, what's those things? Heat chakras? Heat shock stores? When you do ice cold and heat and then ice cold. Anyway, keep it moving. Reduces risk and saves time. That sounds like it's embedded, but I don't think you guys really understand how the cost to create has drastically fallen. All of those voice actors that used to get work, all of those, oh God, all of you beautiful models that used to get work, now I can take a picture of you and make a friggin' clone and get jobs. Yeah, man, reduces risk and saves time because you'll be sitting here thinking of ideating. I was in Australia and was working with, was contemplating working with a guy who had a pretty successful design studio, and he had this NFT project that was pretty shitty. It was dead, and he wanted me to come in and give it life. And I'm just like, let's think about this. Why put the energy behind something that's dead like that when, one, it's not your core business, but two, like, it just wastes time and money. Start something over and offer a new product rather than clean. So when you're ideating, you get a chance to bounce off ideas because he didn't know that he had other options until you speak to somebody. So it is. Ideation is really important. So and that's what most people do. That's barbershop talk, right? Ideation is barbershop talk, and then you get into the strategic planning because it's essential. Why is it essential? Because we're looking at things like market research, right? What is market research? Again, like I said, if you're trying to build a burrito stand, do you go and look at Chipotle? Or do you go look at Mexican food carts? Or do you go look at food trucks? Now, they all sell burritos, but what is your market? Who are you selling to? Where do they live? What do they eat? You have to know these type of things. It's like having a type of woman. You know, it's like if I like fit women, well, the market said I should probably go to a gym or a yoga class, right? Or go park at Whole Foods, which I heard is going down. I heard Whole Foods is not doing as well as they used to. I heard they're trying to keep profits. See, this is the problem with taking on too much money. You end up cutting costs. The way they built businesses, the way businesses have been built, do not work. I just heard a crazy stat. The average enterprise that makes about 10 million a year to 100, they have 365 pieces of software. Conducting basic research, identifying trends and competition. Now, you heard what I just said, 365 pieces of software. So the identifying the trends, a lot of these big companies, they average having tons of software that they can't do nothing with because there's always some updates. Then, and trust me on this, folks, those people that you're listening to on YouTube that are talking about building these AI things, and this is what this bot is doing, and this is what's on. Look, folks, take it from someone who has built quite a few. Most things people say that they can do, they can't do. There's too many variables out there. The models aren't smart enough, and most of these agencies that you guys are hiring don't own any friggin' GPUs, don't own any of the data, the data storage. They don't own any of it. So it's like they're still struggling. They're using a lot of these plug and play, just like everybody else. But ultimately, by the time you get proficient in this, you'll be able to host your own. So, these $20 a month, $40 a month, $70 a month memberships to a lot of these platforms, you'll realize that you'll start getting that Rocket Mortgage. What was that? What was that thing that goes in and cancels all your subscriptions? You'll start getting that. And understanding your customer pain points. This right here. Hold on. Where's my? Hold on. Yep. Understanding customer pain points. This right here. This right here. This right here is what it's all about. Understanding customer pain points. Simple. Understanding customer pain points. Look, in my 4Ws class, I teach men 3 things all women want. And if you know this, you will never have a problem getting a woman. Ever. Maybe you have a problem keeping her, but in general, you won't even have a problem keeping her. 3 things you gotta know. Maybe 4. How to cook, how to dance, how to listen. Those things will get it, right? But listening is what you should do, is what you should learn, to listen. In acting class, we played a game called a repeat game. There was no conversation. It was just repeating what the other said. The goal was to listen. And you realize people don't listen. They don't. They think they do. They hear, they don't listen. Or is it listen, don't hear? Either which way, they don't overstand. They understand. So, this should be an O. It should be overstand. Because that's the problem. Most people understand and don't overstand. You have to be really into something and someone and their real problem to really grow a business. That's what market research is all about. Understanding the problems, who they are, who are you talking to? You may be talking to you 5 years ago. That's somebody that you should know. You should understand their pain points. Here comes that structure outline. Why the structure outline? Organizing and structuring ideas. Great thing to use for this is Trello. Trello is good for this. I'm using this. Trust me, I'm not just teaching this to you just to teach it to you. I'm doing these same things. Same stuff. So that way, we can hold each other accountable. We'll make this thing work. Creating an execution roadmap. Prioritizing tasks. Here comes the feedback loop. The importance of the feedback. Yo, shorty, how do I smell? Yo, shorty, tell me about this move. How does this move look? Am I doing this dance right? Is this stroke right? Hey, listen, does this feel good? Right? How about this one? You've heard this feedback. Wrong hole, right? So this is what's called feedback. Sometimes you get it instant. Sometimes it comes a little bit longer. And with businesses, normally the cycle of business was you had to plan out 3 weeks in order to get paid, 2 weeks ahead type of thing. Or for this week, you needed to start business 3 weeks back. Now it's a little bit different. But if you understand what this feedback loop is, you can shorten that time for money in your pocket. Because I heard of a problem in Atlanta, came from some really reliable people, made them a solution. Now it's about the feedback. So we can iterate, tinker, and tinker. There we go. Collecting and analyzing responses. That's why we have a feedback. So that's why MVPs are important. Put out an MVP, get the feedback, collect the data, and then implement the changes based on the insights. That's why it's important that's why it's so exciting right now, because right now you're able to make MVPs and get it out to the people. Damn it. This shit is dope. Think about this, folks. Minimal viable product or project or whatever. You get what I'm saying? The minimal thing you can do to prove your idea and that it can help somebody that you are looking to help. Now the tools. All right. Our tools must have tools for productivity. Like I told you, ChatGPT, right? Trello. These two things, very important. ChatGPT is your homie, is your boss. Trust. Eventually, I will deploy the major GPT, the major agent. So that way, well, his name is Artie, and I'll deploy to you to help you go through all of this in time. I'm not just gonna give it to people that just join. You got to get through something to do that. I'm sorry, folks. I come from the trenches. But Trust me, I won't let you drown. I'll bring you there. Trello is how we're going to, it's sort of like where we're going to use to be our project manager. And setting up automations versus creating AI agents. Two different things. Make.com, I'll take you through that. N8N, it's another platform that I like. And there's a whole bunch of other platforms out there. You may find something that you like that works great for you, but most of the things that we're going to do are going to be on these platforms. There's a couple of other platforms. One of the things that I hate is that every time you're checking out somebody, you may follow a creator and they may be awesome at what they do and they're giving you game. You may even, join their community, paid or unpaid. But a lot of what look, a couple of slides back, I said that companies, they have 365 pieces of software that they're trying to get people to use and nobody's using them, type of thing. This also happens with us. Because every time you find a real kind of clever or nifty way to do something and you want to use the YouTube University to do something, you always got to sign up for something, some different everything. Thank goodness for like free trials. But man, yo, everybody's, it's like, look, yo, really and truly, there's a lot of fun things out there like Appify, like, Airtable, like, like Napkin. There's so many cool platforms out there and stuff to use. But I tell you, man, but when you get to places like Make.com and N8N, and depending on what you want your class or your business and stuff to be, you need to learn how to use all of these tools. Now, you can have your stack once you pick your niche. This is what I always use, and you'll just always use some variations of it or something like that. And then make like little mini apps that can, but you always want to have like your core. And the problem is when you're, playing tag with all of these creators and they're using all of these unique tools that do all the same thing, but, one of my internet crushes uses a platform called Blotato. Blotato, I think it is, or something like that. But I'm just like, and then I'm just like, but I have. And the thing is, like, I have all of this stuff too. Like, I built all of this stuff. Hanzo is going to be ready for deployment soon. Like, the goal was always to have ArtMob out there first to kind of get, like, the novices, the smaller people. Because when Big Brother Hanzo gets ready to come out, he's only coming out for the big boys. It's like Memphis Bleak and Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you're hanging with Bleak right now. You're hanging with Beans. You're hanging with Kanye. Let's say that, like early Kanye. Only multi-millionaire Kanye, not billionaire Kanye. But yeah, that's what Hanzo got going on, and we have all of this. All of this is proprietary, our style stuff. We're also open source. So we got game. And organizing your workflow. There's nothing like that. There's nothing like that setting up these automations when the things that you do repetitively, what comes. Okay, the phone call comes in. It goes to the operator. They route it to a person. They ask them tons of questions. The thing I hate? Let me tell you what I hate. I hate calling a friggin' number, a center, and they sit there. You wait, 15, 20 minutes? They get on a call. You're on the phone with them. Sometimes it could be an hour. Sometimes it could be 10 minutes. They got to transfer you. Or they lose the call. Or you may lose the call. One, you can't call them back directly. There's no transcripts. There's no community notes. There's no none of this. No organizing workflows. It's just people. Totally inefficient. So this is why I like automation. So Airtable, I mentioned. Google Sheets. These two things are great because these are places where you can deploy data, the data that you need. It's all about data, folks. And it's all about putting them in places that, one, can be found, that makes sense, and is recognizable to your automation, to your system. And it'll tell you that it's recognizable or not. You know how many times I put in shit that it don't fit? Just doesn't fit. Error. Where's the error coming from? I don't know. And most of the time, it's just something simple like a capital letter or a lowercase letter or underscore or a friggin' dash. Like, that's why it's so crazy. Thank goodness for friggin', Claude and ChatGPT. It's crazy. So in summary, recap of the key points. Ideation. That's when you sit down and poly with the homies and be like, listen, homie, like, check out this lyric. If I come back at Kendrick with this, then he come with that, right? Those type of ideations. Should I come back with the baby that he hit his wife, that Dave Free is the baby daddy? Like, what? Nah, that ain't gonna stick. Nah, I'm gonna say it anyway. Listen, Drake went through some ideation and got some bad ideas. The market research. Well, based off of Kendrick's market research, he was saying that the culture ain't feeling Drake. That's why he ain't like us. The structure of the outline. So, I don't want to go back as far as the beginning of this thing, but the structure of the outline is the roadmap. What are the things that you need? What are the things that you need to answer? You come with a first-person shooter. You come back with a like that. You come back with a friggin' what's the one? Tailor-made, and that gets shot down. Then you come back with the Heart Part 6, and then you come back with 6:15 in LA and Meet the Grams, and then it was just that outline was crazy, but it was structured. How many do I have how many do I have in stock? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 5. That was Kendrick's structured outline. He told Drake already. He's like, don't tell no lies about me, and I won't have to tell the truth about you. If you want to go there, I will go further. That was the structure of the outline. It was verbal, but based off of how it played out, you saw that it was all planned. Structure. What was the feedback loop? 5 Grammys, Super Bowl, a song once it dropped, Mustard on the beat, ho. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, they're not like us. Was real. Like, that feedback loop was ridiculous. That's how you get 5 Grammys for that one song. It wasn't even like it was for an album. It was for one song. Positive feedback loop, indeed. Now the tools, that's what's important. The Super Bowl was a tool. The cameras was a tool. Why was that a tool? Because he used it for performance. Why was it a tool? He did not go in to go play his old catalog. He went in to use it for a marketing tool to promote it to the rest of the world. that this is what I have coming up. Why is that? Because he's an entrepreneur. He left TDE. He has a brand new catalog. He doesn't have a record label. He has a production studio. He has a studio, so they do a bunch of things. I think they're gonna do, some South Park stuff. But ultimately, folks, that's what it was. The tools. He used these things as tools because I got a small company. I use some AI to do some things to then take that wave and just run with it. But initially, we need to use these 100 million people and let them know that I'm independent now. So buy from me. And Drake likes young girls and hangs out with questionable people. So let's encourage your next steps. Not to hang out with Drake. Don't wait for perfect. As you can clearly see, I can't wait for perfect. I've been trying to wait for perfect, but there is no perfect. What's the saying? I'm gonna say a bunch of sayings, but it's perfect is the enemy of done, kind of thing, right? But don't wait for perfect, start with progress. There we go. Action creates clarity, start small, and build momentum. Folks, this is what this thing is all about. Just get popping. Just get popping. Planning is the foundation, but execution makes a difference. All right. That's where we're at right now. The planning is going to be fun, but we're here to execute. Now let's get to work.